Good evening, everyone. Simgaget, Sigadamanak, Gibit Wiltsik. My Niska name's Lahaikwaskak. My name is Melanie Mark, and I'm the MLA for Vancouver Mount Pleasant and the Minister for Tourism, Arts, Culture and Sport, and the only First Nations woman to ever get elected and hold a seat at the cabinet table in BC's history. And I share that because of the resilience of my grandparents and my mom. And I'm so proud of who I am and where I come from and our deep, resilient roots up in the Nass Valley and Gitxsan territories. I want to acknowledge the territory that you're participating from and just to thank you from the top for your work. The Native Court Workers Association is super important to me. I actually was a Native court worker back in the day, and Art Paul had a huge impact on my life and was a tremendous mentor. And I worked with people like Daryl Shackley, and he showed me the ropes. And I remember going to the courthouse and having to bow for the judge, and how powerful, how empowering it was to be an advocate for our people. And so I just want to thank you for the work that you're doing, because it is so important. I studied criminology. I wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to be one of the good guys. You guys go to work every day fighting for our people, doing those GLADU reports, making sure that our people have justice, because it's so important that our people are well represented. We've been overrepresented, and you know that, in the courts, in foster care. We know the impacts of residential school and the damage of systemic and calculated genocide and racism on our people. So, Hawa, Tuxiasm, and thank you for the work that you do. But more importantly, don't give up. Have faith, have hope, and know that the work that you do is making a difference in people's lives. Because I can tell you, I can't speak to being non-Indigenous, but I know as an Indigenous person that the way we get to our destination and our journey is by paddling together, by working together. And there's major issues in front of us right now. I know that I have a hard time sleeping at night with all of the injustices. I was asked to speak about missing murdered Indigenous women and girls and how important that issue has been to me for my entire life. As a child, and how many of us Indigenous children didn't have justice and didn't have safety, and how important it is that we fight for our girls as the life givers, and that we have role models to protect them and keep them safe. So again, Hawa, thank you for the work that you're doing. And there is more work to do. I know our BC NDP government is making investments in housing, right? You need housing to be safe. We're making investments to ensure that, there are less Indigenous children in care, because we need to do that. We need to get kids home with their families. We need to support families. Every time I go to the Women's Memorial March, I can't say 100%, but there's always an eagle. That spirituality is really important to us, to remind us that we're not alone, but to look up, to have hope, and to believe in the big picture. So thank you for the work that you do. With respect to the children, I went to Kamloops with my daughter, Michaela. She's 10, and when I asked her if she was going to walk with the elders for the children, she said yes. And we walked on our shirt. We got a chance to write down, and I went with my friend Cherie, who's Haida. She works in my office. And we walked for my grandparents. And so, what is our NDP government doing? We are embracing reconciliation. And it's hard work. It's tough work. But the time is now. The time is now to correct the wrongs. Grand Chief Stuart Phillip always said, reconciliation isn't a destination, it's a journey. And it's one that we're on together. And it's a fight. And we need to fight for those kids who went to school and never made it home. My grandparents went to St. Michael's, Brandon, and Elk Lake, and my grandfather, Willie Mark, hid from Indian agents. Many of us have a similar story. So what is my message to you? Paddle together. Don't give up. Your voice matters. Our voice as Indigenous peoples matter. And that is why I'm so proud to be the MLA for Mount Pleasant and the Minister for Tourism, Arts, Culture, and Sport, so I can be an advocate. And I want to thank you for inviting me to this important event to lift up your spirits and know that we need you to paddle for another decade or 2 or 3. So congratulations, keep shining.